like you to think of one way in your language to insult a rapist. Then I would like you to think of one derogatory term to designate a woman in prostitution. Insults are an excellent way to assess the misogyny of a language. And it is often extremely difficult to insult men as men. Now, you might have the son of a bitch, but really it's the mother who's insulted. You might have the bastard, which is really a synonym for son of a bitch because unknown father. So what does that make the mother? And in fact, a lot of those insults condemn women to the brothel. And in English in particular, it doesn't take much for a woman to turn into a slut. One little adjective in front of woman, like loose or public, and she's doomed. Now, if insults are directed towards women, the reverse is also true. The feminine, so talking about gender in the grammatical notion, so anything referring to the female sex is potentially insulting. The best example of this is the word cunt, which simply meant female sex. Now you might say, oh, but we have the same with men where we say you're a dick. Well, no, the actual equivalent would have been if we would be in a situation where people would call each other, oh, you're such a penis. This is not what happened. Dick started out negatively, and it shows the way to insult the man. This is about his behavior. So you don't insult the male sex, you insult something that men do or something that men are apart from being men. So it might be the sexual orientation, it might be the skin color, it might be something else, but it's also something they share with women, not ever as men. What cunt and dick have in common, however, is that the disparaging nature of these words comes from reducing a whole man or woman to his or her parts. So it wouldn't surprise me if before long words that are deemed to be neutral in the sense that they do not have a negative or positive connotation today, like vagina haver or a menstruator, will become insults later on, and we'll say you're a cunt, you're a vagina haver, you're a menstruator, in a bad way. The other excellent example of the transformation of the feminine into an insult is the word bitch, which meant female dog. But now you can't go around the park and saying, oh, what a lovely bitch that you have. Can I pet her? Why? It has become unpronounceable in certain contexts because the meaning has been so distorted, so corrupted. It has now become taboo. It's rude to talk like that. In the Victorian era, it was considered rude to use the word woman. So lady was preferred. It was a euphemism. I think we're going through the same phase. Maybe we haven't ever gotten out that phase. So when we are pushed to use pregnant person, we are pushed to do so with the same rationality as in the Victorian times, that pregnant woman is rude. I mean, any reference to the female sex is kind of banned. Any reference to the word woman is getting increasingly erased. We can't even say equality between women and men. We have to say gender equality, which is a notion devoid of any meaning. And similarly, in online forums, we have gender, male, female, when male and female refer to sex. And so we come into this situation. So this is, let's put it like this. This is the first idea that I would like you to remember in this presentation. So the association of the feminine as bad. So the second step is, unsurprisingly, that the masculine is not just good, it is correct. And if you look today at the Oxford English Dictionary, if you look at men, your first definition will be human being. The second definition will be adult human male. But when you look at the definition of woman, you have first definition, adult human female. The second sentence is counterpart of men. They might as well directly have written Adam's rib it would have been clearer. And then you have wife, and then you have woman in prostitution, and then you have a woman who comes to do the cleaning, etc., etc. All those corrupted meanings of the word woman. Now notice that we tend to see woman as the second sex, but really it's in the third position, because you have man, capital M, human, man, small m, men, and then woman, that Adam's rib thingy, that counterpart. And it's the same if you look at the definition of dog. You have the description of the species, but if you look at the definition of bitch, you have female dog. You don't have male bitch for dog. And so we come to have all those oxymorons in language because we have assumed the male form, the masculine, as correct, as standard, as correct, and we have all those oxymorons. So for example, female actor when we don't have male actress. And all the words ending in OR and ER, especially if they're of Latin origin, are masculine. And I find that English especially has this unjustified claim to neutrality. Because when a woman says, I'm an ambassador, I'm an author, I'm a creator, she's expressing herself in the masculine form. And all these other forms, authoress, creatress, ambassadress, they're only incorrect. And this was the argument made by Dale Spender in Man-Made Language. All those different forms to the man-made language are only incorrect if we accept that man-made language is correct. And there are further inconsistencies that are not perceived as such. So when women refer to each other, especially in the UK, it's very surprising, when they refer to each other with guys or dude all the time. And it's completely normal. Or even the expressions like, fuck the patriarchy. But how do I fuck the patriarchy? I mean, let's be honest with the meaning of fuck. You see, the anatomic identification with men to be ballsy, it's good. And also, fuck the patriarchy. Why would I condemn the system that feeds off of male violence, male sexual violence, to male sexual violence? I have absolutely no interest in that. So this was the second point. Masculine correct, feminine incorrect. So what happens, okay, when a woman uses the first person singular, so pronoun I, and then follows it, so she uses it with the masculine form. What does that make of the we? So if both man and woman use the masculine when referring to their own individual selves, well, surely we means men and women. With the male talk comes the male gaze. Those two notions are inseparable. The male gaze, it's the idea of looking at the world from the point of view of men and looking at other women the way men look at women. Now, if the correct form is masculine for the first person singular, for the first person plural, then the correct form when referring to woman is the third person. Women, they. Look at a book. Pick any book and you will see woman, they often, whether it's an authoress or an author. Why? Because woman, they is the correct form. Women are others. Women are away from me. And I think the current trend of specifying your pronouns in advance, which doesn't make sense, right? Because you can't know, because a pronoun replaces the noun, so you can be any of these 6 persons, right? It pushes us women to further look at ourselves externally and perceive our sexed existence from the outside. My pronoun is she. Well, you've just used, it would be I in this sentence, but that's another matter. But it's always external. And it's a problem, and it's an issue that men don't have, because as shown, the whole language is in the masculine form. So this identification with manhood and male interests is easier. So, feminine, negative. Feminine, incorrect. Feminine, external. This has deeply tangible consequences. Because I speak and think of myself in male terms, I do not feel attacked by the male hatred of women. Rape? It's something that happens to others who are probably bad because they did something wrong. It becomes also easier for us women when we use women they to adopt stereotypes. How many women did I hear telling me, women, it's so hard working with them? Who are you? Could you have said that sentence if you used we? You would have realized that you're talking negatively about your own self right there. So this is not feeling involved in issues, right, relating to only ourselves, but only feeling involved when there are men and women involved. This is the external aspect. The second aspect is the correctedness. Whatever man says correct is entirely correct. It's not correct in male terms only. So if there are further corruptions of the word woman, and then I'm told, I'm always told woman was wife, okay, so I'm not that, so I'm not a woman. Woman was this, okay, I don't like that, so I'm probably not a woman. And then I'm told woman is maybe man sometimes, I'm not that, so I'm probably not a woman. So you come to have a situation where whatever men say a woman is, we say, okay, that's it. And we feel that when we object, we are wrong, that we are incorrect. And the third, so this was correctedness. And the third important aspect, and I'm returning to insults, is that we women keep on insulting each other all the time while leaving men completely untouched. Now, the inspiration for this talk was from a woman who said, that bitch of my grandmother, she put me in between herself and my grandfather so that he would rape me and not her. She couldn't even attack verbally her grandfather. Can you imagine her doing so in court? I mean, law, after all, is only words. What happens when we insult each other? We come to a situation where we only have ourselves to blame and not men. How is it correct? How is this sentence correct? She was raped. How is this grammatically correct? This is completely incorrect. She, subject, was raped, passive form, without an agent. By whom? We don't know. She was probably wrong. She was probably bad. She brought it upon herself. Now, what do we do about this? A few suggestions. First, I would recommend avoiding neutralizing language. I don't think this is neutral language. I think it is neutralizing in the sense that it erases power imbalances between men and women, right? And if we can't think about them, if we can't convey them verbally, we can't change them, okay? So, for example, gender-based violence. No, this is male violence against women. Let's name the perpetrators. Let's name the real culprits. Similarly, notice it was easier, quicker to adopt chairperson. As long as we don't have any reference to women, let's not even think about women in our language. Let's never think about women. Women don't exist. Chairperson was easier to adopt than chairwoman. Humankind was easier to adopt than womankind. Why not? It would have rebalanced it out. Because with humankind, and if we think in those neutralizing terms, we come to huge, absurd inconsistencies, such as rape is a crime against humanity. Well, it's not. Rape is a crime against womanity. And this is my second suggestion. Dare to invent. The language is also ours as women. Why are we so shy? We need to give up on this reclaiming, right? Subversion relies on convention, and this time spent on reclaiming words is all the more time wasted on creating words. Look at the way the word slut, the time spent at rehabilitating the word slut compared to the time spent erasing the word woman. Well, that shows where the priorities are. Safeguarding prostitution seems to be more important than safeguarding humanity. And in this invention, let's find a way to direct our anger towards men and not just ourselves. Why don't we have a word for those Leonardo DiCaprio's type of men who abide by the pornographic motto of barely legal? But we have plenty of words for their girlfriends. And notice, by the way, man-made language, man-made law. For sexual relations, there was an age limit that was taken, not an age gap. Why is there not a word for that male professor? Well, we kind of all know he's being a bit odd with students, but the administration is protecting him. Why can't we designate him with one single word to show that he's wrong, to show that his behavior is wrong, so that we break the cycle of the masculine behavior correct? And what about ourselves? Why can we not have, what are the words that are lacking in our experience? Would the first periods be less daunting if we had something more celebratory? What do we want to say about motherhood? I think one word, I mean, I don't know what you think about it, but I think one word we need is one to express the joy of being a woman. One that they cannot take away from us.